name is Sara Rooney, and this is my informative speech for public speaking. My audience today is right here. Today I will be doing my informative speech on insurance awareness in claim situations. When you're entering into a claim situation, you don't really want to be in a position to where you learn about your coverages at that time. You want to be aware of what you have prior to that time. So it's always a good idea to have a good understanding of what your insurance policy covers, as well as what to expect in a claim situation. The most important part of a claim situation is your coverages and what your policy provides. Usually the broad overview of this is liability versus physical damage coverage. Liability is a coverage that you would have in place to provide coverage for another party's damages that you may have caused. This would also be what would cover your damages in an accident caused by someone else. In today's terms, full coverage is used a lot by lien holders. What full coverage usually indicates is that there is comprehensive and collision coverage on a vehicle. Sometimes it's misunderstood that that means that you have every coverage available on your vehicle. However, that is not the case. Comprehensive and collision, which is parts of the physical damage coverages, are what would cover your vehicle in the event of a claim. If you possess those coverages, that would provide the necessary coverage to have your vehicle repaired for something that you caused or for something that was out of your control. Uninsured motorist coverage is a coverage that is required by South Carolina state law per Jimmy Rooney, who is an agent for State Farm Insurance. That uninsured motorist coverage covers you in the event that someone hits you and they do not have insurance, and that would be the coverage that would provide you with coverage during that time. Another coverage that you'd like to be aware of whether or not you have in a claim situation is rental car coverage. Rental car coverage is what's going to put you in a rental vehicle in the event that you have a covered claim that you have caused or something that was out of your control that's covered under your policy. In the event of a claim that is not your fault, rental car coverage is usually provided by the other insurance carrier. Sometimes your insurance carrier will provide a rental vehicle for a temporary amount of time until a claim is established with another carrier. There are also medical or personal injury coverages that you can purchase that would give you a little bit of coverage in any event that you were injured in a vehicle accident. So it's always nice to have a good understanding of what coverages are out there that would be of assistance to you during a claim. The first thing you need to do in the event of an accident is to call the police. Doesn't matter how big or small the accident is, if there's damage or if there's not damage, you always need to call the police. The reason for doing this is to get a documented piece of paper showing what happened and who is involved. This helps to cover you in the event that you have injuries that come up a couple of days later. Sometimes you don't recognize them right away and you wake up the next day and you feel terrible. It also helps to kind of curb people who are driving vehicles that should not be driving, to help you if you don't see damage right away, that you will come aware of that in the next few days, that you'll have a record of this. A lot of times people say, well, it's not a lot of damage, we'll exchange phone numbers, and then the person who caused the damage says, well, that accident never happened and you can't prove it because you don't have a police report. So this is a way to really ensure that you have kind of a backup plan in the event that something comes up, whether you foresee it happening or not. Another thing is, if you have had an accident and you feel any discomfort or pain whatsoever, I would always recommend you go be seen by a medical provider. Whether or not it seems like a severe injury or not, you should always get medical attention right away to prevent something from getting worse. Going to the doctor, emergency room visits, those are things that an insurance company in most cases are going to pay, regardless of whether or not you leave with a diagnosis or not. Just checking to make sure that you're okay and any passengers that you may have in the vehicle are okay is something that is normal and that I would absolutely encourage you to do. Another thing that people would like to know what to expect in the event of a claim is the time frame. How long is it going to take me to get my car fixed? How long is it going to take them to send me my payment for my damage? How long is it going to take for this to be over with? That is not an easy answer. I've spoken with Sammy Sanders, who is a sales and service rep for State Farm, and he's been with them for several years. And he said it all depends on how what the circumstances of the claim are. Is it just a minor claim to where they can send the assignment, which usually takes about 24 to 48 hours, to an adjuster or a claim representative, and they call you and speak with you and verify the details of the loss, and then the adjuster will set up a time to come out and look at your vehicle. That could take 2 to 3 days to do that. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is whether or not there are other things involved, like injuries. Sometimes injuries can really extend the time that it takes to settle a claim due to the fact that treatment has to be completed or a final evaluation has to be assigned by a doctor for what the expected treatment period is for an individual before a company will settle if injuries are involved. So it's not a very cut and dry answer as to whether or not you could expect a week, a month, a year. It could be any or all of these, depending on what the details of the claim are. I would also recommend that after a claim, you always try to follow up with your insurance agent and complete an insurance review. This is a good time for you to think about situational changes that you've had in your household. Maybe you got married, maybe you had a child, maybe you got a new vehicle, maybe you paid a vehicle off. These are always good things to think about and talk with your agent about after you've had a claim, just to make sure that you are up to date and accurate on all of your information. You have a good understanding, and maybe during the claim situation you realized that you needed something as far as coverages are concerned that you didn't have, or that you had something and you didn't need. So I would always recommend that you follow up with an insurance review with your agent. Lastly, claim follow-up. This is a good time at the end of a claim when you've had an accident to get in touch with your agent. Not only to tell them what the outcome of the claim was, but to let them know what their office or their claims office did good. What was a good experience for you? How are things handled for you? And what would you recommend that they do differently? Did you have a breakdown in communication? Did you feel that it took too long? Did you feel that everything went excellent? It was handled quicker than you expected to? If they don't receive comments one way or another, they assume that what they're doing is right, and they'll continue that way. So the best way to have a good experience is to give feedback, and that way, in the event of future claims for you or for other people, they will be handled better. So in conclusion, I would definitely recommend that you be a little bit more insurance aware on the front end for claims experiences and situations. The South Carolina DMV has a lot of information online as far as the accident reports that they issue, that are issued at most public accidents that don't happen on private property. Those reports are called FR10s. So I would highly recommend visiting that website. It just gives you a more detailed look at what those reports are for, what they consist of, and what the regulations are for completing those and making sure that they are filled out properly and returned. These forms are a very good way that they curb people who do not have insurance. They have to be turned in within 14 days. If they're not turned in, they will suspend the driver's license of the person who is the registered owner of the vehicle. So this is a good way for South Carolina to keep an eye on who's out there driving and to make sure that they are legally able to drive their vehicles on South Carolina roadways. In conclusion, insurance awareness is not something that you want to wait until the last minute to understand. It's something that you want to go into a claim situation, if that ever happens to you, knowing ahead of time. These are just a few ways for you to have a better understanding of what to expect in the event that you have an accident or your loved one has an accident. Thank you.